Hello everyone, Marty Extension Wrestlers here, and today I'm going to give you guys the first look at for the Amalgam for Marvel's DC Revenge the Amalgam, and I'm going to go into them. Now, we're going to start off with Dark Claw. So yeah, we're going to start off with the character, the main, Dark Claw. So, as you can tell, Darklaw has the Batman Begins costume, but with the chest being from X-Men Days of Future Past Wolverine costume. Obviously it's very different from the source material. It's just that I personally prefer, and I should also address Darklaw. He has the blue eyes, kind of similar to the that you see in BVS, where Batman's at armor and he has the blue eyes. I decided to give him that for one reason, and that is I think it suits him a lot better. Excuse me. One difference from the source material from the Amalgam comics with this one is that Darklaw will actually be having 2 claws instead of 3. I think that's a very small change. I don't think anybody would really care. But yeah. And the reason why I said use Batman Begins and X-Men Days of Future Past is, one, I think both costumes kind of work together. And second, I feel like they do work better. So overall, that will be Darklaw's costume from the get-go. Now, let's talk about the other person of the Amalgam Trinity. We have Super Soldier. Now, if you look at his costume in the comics that he has, and you just take away that Superman logo, you would think this is Captain America. And that's what I think I decided to do, is I decided to kind of change him up, Super Soldier, a bit. Not make him so over the top, but make him a little bit more, this is right. This is the perfect balance between Superman and Captain America. I will also say that, I will also give him a cape just to be a little bit more Superman-esque. But I mean, the thing is, the cape was probably more American flag-esque, so that's why I think that works perfectly well with Super Soldier, with both Superman and Captain America. Super Soldier in the show will still have that mask that he has in the comics, but there's one difference, and that is his eyes would be red and the lips would be blue, as a nod to Superman's heat vision and freeze breath. I also used a lot of the Homelander stuff because I think that's a perfect balance between Superman and Captain America as well. But trust me, he isn't just gonna look like that. I still plan to add some things up here. Alright, now we go through Amazon. Alright, now, much like Darklaw, I decided to use the X-Men Days of Future Past Storm costume and the DCU Wonder Woman costume. And I should also, like I said, Gal Gadot in this picture will not be playing Amazon. That would be YouTuber Luigi PS3. She will be playing Amazon instead. Same with the others. Darklaw, he's going to be played by Chris Stuckman. Super Soldier, he's going to be played by Gio. Amazon, for the most part, in a costume, pretty much is just Storm in the Wonder Woman outfit, which obviously does not work that well. I didn't like that idea. At least compared to some of the other very unique Amalgam costumes, I thought that was a bit too bland. So that's why I decided to change it up a bit. Make it a little more like the two actually emerge. That's why I decided to use some of their films costumes. I should also address that the color of nails that Amazon will be using will kind of determine her powers. So, for instance, orange nail would determine fire powers. A white nail would consider like wind powers. A blue nail would consider water powers. Yeah. Next up, we have Speed Demon. Now, Speed Demon was a very hard one because I know how do I make a character like that, like intimidating and all that. However, I came up with the idea, and that is I'm just going to make him black and red. The black is obviously not to the Black Flash costume that Barry Allen wears, but I think that costume works very well for Ghost Rider because he also wears black. And I thought it would also make him a lot more intimidating, especially with like if you see this guy running at you, you know you're doomed. Yeah. Obviously, he's still going to have some of the spikes that he has in the comics. One change from the comics that I will address, and this isn't even a big thing, is that in the show, it's just going to be Flash and Ghost Rider. Not really the biggest change in the world, because that's kind of how the comics also present it. However, there's going to be no Etrigan, and the skull won't be Etrigan-like. It's going to be just a human skull, like Ghost Rider, just on fire. Alright. Next up, Iron Lantern. Now, this one was a lot harder, but I decided I'm going to use a character that often is put up against Green Lantern from Marvel, which were Nova, Hulk, Thor, and a few others here and there. I just used some of the more popular ones. However, I chose who out of those three does Iron Man have like an armor for, and Thor was one of them. So I decided I'm going to be using the Thor Buster Awesome, but with the Green Lantern colors instead, and the colors from the Amalgam comic, where Iron Lantern obviously has green and yellow. Yeah. The green and yellow obviously meant to represent from the comics as well. Yeah. Yeah. I originally was having him wear like white because I wanted him to be like all the lanterns. However, I think green works better. I was thinking of making it, but at the same time, I thought that wouldn't work for the show. It would be way too goofy at that point. A guy can change lanterns. I was like, nah, that shouldn't even be necessary. Same with any other lantern, they're not going to have that ability. Especially the Iron Man. I know Iron Man has that ability where he can essentially change suits. And I was thinking of ending with lanterns, but no, I thought that'd be way too much. And so I decided, no. Alright. Next up, we have the White Witch. Now, out of all the characters who have their outfits, this is the only one that will be that's shown by her actual YouTuber. Which, if you don't know her actual YouTuber, it would be We Shoot, Jacksepticeye's ex-girlfriend. So yeah, as you can tell, her skin is blue. I originally wanted to do, obviously from the comics, but decided to add that, but with a twist. I thought of making her skin blue because I thought it would be as like how do you say it? Like a nice crystal-esque design, which I think works for both Scarlet Witch and Zatanna. And I also wanted to do a bit of a Dr. Manhattan-like style. But yeah. So this is how she would be looking in the show. She still has the red cape, which is essentially like a jacket. I think she's one of the picture that I used. And obviously, the white like topping, but again, it's just in the picture. But this is like the closest she's gonna look. But yeah. Alright. Next we have Skulk. Now, for the show, I decided to change it up a bit. at first wanted to do like a green grayish design as to be a mix of Hulk and Salman Grundy. However, I had to change the gray, but it's kind of similar to the comics. So as you can tell, the design is pretty close to the comics, and all that. I decided to add some vines because I think it adds more with Salman Grundy's character. But yeah, this is the skulk for the most part. Normally Salman Grundy wears blue pants, Hulk wears purple, so I decided to mix blue and purple together. Yeah. Alright, so next up, Dorai. Now this one is probably the only one that's probably the most different. You can obviously tell from a mile away that it's almost nothing like the comics. I decided to switch it up because I felt like Dorai's character works. I think it would be more interesting, like he has like this sort of design, like it's more ancient, medieval, primal like design. I think it fits both Thor and Orion's character. But at the same time, I think it fits it well because they're both, Orion is meant to be a warrior. And I think that design works really well with Orion. As you can tell, Orion will not just be having his normal weapon that he has in the comics. He's going to be having shields, maces, axes, spears, bow and arrows, tomahawks, etc. I decided just give him that because I felt like, yeah, even though the comics never really elaborate with Thor, he knows how to use like bow and arrows and all that. So I decided, I think it makes sense that Orion gets this kind of design. Plus, I think it actually fits the design very well. And fits both Thor and Orion's characters. Now, before anybody asks, yes, he's going to have access to both the Odin Force and the Astral Force that Thor and Orion both use. And even in some cases, merge in the two. But yeah. Next up, the Hyena. Now, this one is the one I just want to get out of the way. So, his design in the show is pretty much going to be his design in the comics. However, his is definitely is one of the few more sexualized costumes in the show. For example, we're gonna literally be like, for instance, he's gonna have exposure to his to a lot of private parts. Like, I really don't want to use the word, but I'm just gonna use his private area and his ass. That's pretty much the closest thing I can say, as well as a feminine body design. Not saying Hyena is female, because he's not. He's going to be played by Jacksepticeye, so that's when I realized. That's when I decided to give him that more feminine design, because I think it fits the character, and he's kind of meant to be like that. So because of that, I think it works very well. One small aspect that's very different from the source material is that he's going to have Venom's tongue. You know how pretty much how Venom and the Carnage have those gigantic tongues. That's pretty much what I'm looking for, what I wanted to add to Hyena. And finally, we have the Green Skull. Now, this one I had to obviously say in a different way because of YouTube, which they had to start fixing their censorship and their copyright stuff. I think that's the number one aspect YouTube needs to fix right now. Because even for the likes of me, it's ridiculous. But yeah. So, now in the comics, now for the show, what I wanted to do was to give Green Skull a combination of Lex Luthor's war suit and Red Skull's German trench coat. However, I decided to do this. And I decided to make it Green Skull wearing a German trench coat. You all know what I'm referring to. Just so you all know. It's just because YouTube and all that. So he wears a German trench coat, but what has a lot of the abilities, the war suit, because I thought that's kind of what each costume kind of is. Obviously, you have the green colored skull because I think it fits the character well, and Red Skull, obviously. Then you obviously have the yellow and the colors from Lex Luthor's war suit, yeah. Obviously, Green Skull would obviously be having like weapons because he's Red Skull as well, yeah. The reason I decided to give him the more Lex Luthor war suit inside the German trench coat is because I thought it was the perfect balance between the two. You know, he could have any tricks up his sleeves in there. So that's when I realized I think it fits both Lex Luthor and Red Skull perfectly well. So that is it for a lot of the Amalgam designs. I know I've not had Skulk yet, but I do have his character, and I will reveal it. The character. So before I go to Skulk, I'm actually gonna go through the rest. So, if for those that want to recap, Darklight will be played by Chris Stuckman. Super Soldier will be played by G.I.G.O. Amazon will be played by Lou GPS3. Tim Colony from Variant Comics will be playing Speed Demon. GL Josh will be playing Iron Lantern. Wishio will be playing the White Witch. Matthew Santoro will be playing Thor Ryan. Jacksepticeye, like I said before, will be playing the Hyena. And Cody of Alternate History Hub will be playing the Green Skull. And before I reveal it, Skulk will be played by Pof Ashore. It's that YouTuber that does some of the Papa games, like Papa's Takomiya, and Pizzeria. And it's the one that's his thumbnail is like he has like crashing any Papa's game for a random like customer. It's that guy. So comment down below which costume is your favorite. Mine are probably Darklaw or Speedy Man. I think those designs are just great. I think you can really tell fits both characters really well. Yeah. Let me know which let me know which costume, can't speak, is your favorite. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.